All right, guys. So we got a clip of Andrew Schulz defending Joe Rogan. Let's watch the clip here, and I'll explain to you.
I've been on Rogan. Yeah, I know him, kinda. Do comedians look at Rogan like a comedian?
So 100% yes.
Okay.
But you have to understand, like, when you're someone who doesn't know comedy or you're not like a big comedy fan, you know the most potent version of someone, and obviously, you know, he has the biggest media platform on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a crazy time in history where like one guy could garner that type of influence. He just happens to be so famous at another thing. Some people only get that version.
It
of him.
overshadows it too.
Think about it, of course.
In the realm of
Well, look, yes, in some cases that does happen. For sure, for Joe, his comedy wasn't the biggest thing. That was, obviously like second to, or maybe third to him being a UFC commentator, a podcaster, and a comedian. So, for him, people might consider his number one, thing he does is doing the podcast.
How did you find out about DMT?
My dad is on the DMT oil right now to go to sleep. He's
DMT is DMT. The DMT.
And then the second one, UFC. And then the third, comedian.
Is just being gay. That's all.
Fourth, actor.
He got in Joe's face.
And then he got too close to Joe.
No, I'm pretty sure that's why maybe he's not getting the recognition, and maybe it's also because Joe is kind of a mid comedian, and comedy is very subjective, so what might be funny to you might not be funny for somebody else, and Joe is a particular case in that. He talks about drugs, he talks about marriages, he's very observational. He's like basically like Seinfeld, but he like started smoking weed.
Everybody who tells you you can't have weed, they all should get on weed. Every single one of those motherfuckers, they're the people who need weed more than anybody. The people that are trying to stop weed.
comedians, I think he's an okay comedian, but like
Right.
as a podcaster, he's one of the most influential podcasters of all time. So it's like hard to parse that apart as a consumer. I think that's what the internet has done more than anything, is it has allowed people to wear different hats, but still it's really hard to part that out as a consumer sometimes.
Yeah. You got to watch Joe do stand up. Like, I tell people you have to go watch Joe do stand up. Joe is underrated at stand up.
Oh, really?
I think what happens sometimes, you become so famous that people are looking for things to pull down.
Okay.
Right? And they can't say about the pod.
Yeah.
Because the pod is number one. So they just got to find something where they could pull you down. You got to watch Joe with everything to lose, with more to lose than most people in history have ever had, still doing the wildest shit.
Well, so like as we were saying before, the podcast is number one. Joe might consider that his number one. The comedy is number one. Podcasting is second. I don't know. We don't know specifically. I watched. I refreshed my memory of Joe Rogan's stand-up, and I try to look like, I googled the best Joe Rogan stand-up. You can understand his style, which is stories, observational humor, cringe humor, very raunchy humor, offensive impressions. He's also very brash, and some people might not like that, but that's just Joe. If you go to Joe's show, you're gonna expect Joe Rogan to do his act, and he's gonna do his impressions.
Hear the M word too much from my girlfriend, you know what I'm talking about? She brings up marriage a little bit too much, and it's, I can't even hear that word. I hear the word marriage, my brain just shuts off. It's like, marriage, click! Every word after marriage is, I don't think so. I'm like, that's like a contract. I signed this. I can't have sex with other girls for the rest of my life, and I gotta buy you a ring. Like, that deal sucks.
Now, this is the Fighting the Kid subreddit. So this is what the people think of Joe Rogan's comedy or being a comedian. Let's see, the top comment here has got almost 370 votes. Trevor farted. I only know Joe's a comedian because he's constantly feels the need to remind me. I've worked in kitchens with so much funnier people. Yeah, but are there like giving you a 1 hour show. It's just like, I think, I think some of it is just like trolling and saying Joe's the worst comedian. If he was the worst comedian, he wouldn't be doing as good as he is. Like, people constantly buy his shows, and the casual people that are not online really, and even still some, I'll say, they're just playing the hater, for some of these people. Like, honestly, in my opinion, Joe's not the worst, but he isn't the greatest. He is like very much mid, but he has a ton of different kinds of styles that he implements in his materials and his specials. And he does like equate that style to Sam Kinison. Sam Kinison is like his favorite comedian. Joe kind of applies certain things Sam Kinison's known for, like his like very annoying like yells and screams mid talk, and like that kind of style, very loud.
If you ever think you want to get married, if you ever think you've met the right woman, you want to settle down,
New York jet,
you want to get a house, you want to get a car, maybe raise a family, do me a favor, will you, Lou? Remember this face.
You're very much animated, like, it's just kind of like Robin Williams. You use your whole body, and that's how like the internet saw Joe Rogan. With this clip, they kind of mocked him with this clip here. It says there was a lot of mediocre comedy. This is him kind of like talking about current comedians who are mediocre, and they're kind of faking their way in. Like, they kind of say, oh, how about you? How about this? This is kind of mediocre. So let's watch that.
There was a lot of mediocre comedy out there.
She never says no, because if she did, I'd rape her.
There was a lot of people that were doing what sounded like an impression of what a comedian should sound like.
Oh, how does this work?
When he comes, his whole body just erupts.
Make everybody laugh before we're about to spar.
I'm not that retarded! It looks fucking stupid!
I'm not looking for a country mouthfucking. I'm just trying to enjoy the great outdoors.
And make my friends laugh when we go fight in tournaments.
I'm at home, my phone buzzes, I go, ah!
This is just being gay. That's all. Ass in the air.
But look, we could watch this and say, haha, like, yeah, very cringy stuff. But like, he's actually like putting in the work to do all that crazy stuff. Let's give him credit for that. Yes, it's like ridiculous. Like when he was like Caitlyn Jenner on a stool, and they're like, all the Kardashians were like gargoyles or something, and he was like acting like a gargoyle.
Climb up and kick off their designer shoes to reveal Black Raven's claws and clutch the edge of the bed and just whispered in his ear.
It's just like, they take certain parts away, from, they might consider very cringy, but like he's also has like storytelling, and I've seen some of his other style, which is impressions.
Crazy 800-pound silverback bursting through the tree.
And I mean, like, I think that's why he says like the impression part is what he kind of thinks he's best at. So he's like, oh, like impressions is my thing, and I take it seriously. But when I see it from somebody else and that does it mediocre and doesn't put their heart out to do the bit, then they just, it's just lazy.
There was a lot of people that were doing what sounded like an impression of what a comedian should sound like.
Oh, how does this work?
When it comes, his whole body just erupts.
I mean, and he also has like a lot of specials too, so he's very dedicated. He might not be the best, like I said, and he might not be the worst, but he's still like, he's still fine to a certain amount of people. Not everybody's gonna like his comedy style. That just tends to happen. Like I was watching some other style of comedy. I think Jay Okerson's. I watched his Dog Belly, and I don't know. I thought it was kind of gross, and maybe I wasn't just in that form of humor. Or like maybe I just don't like that style. Like maybe if I give it another watch, maybe it might change my mind. But sometimes you just like, it's just like you're like, like it's cool, and then some other things are gonna just make you laugh out loud, But look, that's just how they say it's comedy is subjective. You can be entitled to your opinion I think Joe, he's funny at times. I'm not gonna say he's not funny. I think he's funny at times. Not everybody's gonna be funny every time they talk. You know, we're gonna have our moments, and I'll be ending it right here, guys. Let me know what you guys think about Joe Rogan's comedy down below. I'll see you guys next time, and also like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.
They would rip your fucking feet off and fuck your ass. If you don't think chimps will steal babies and eat them, you haven't been paying attention to the literature. Crazy 800-pound silverback bursting through the trees.